Hi there, this is Alex Mitchell from Go Tech Yourself, and I'm excited to bring you today a lesson in building your product manager brand. How you can do it, what it's all about, why it's important. We're going to get all into that today. First, this is me. I'm Alex Mitchell again, the Chief Product Officer from ICX Media. You can find a lot about me on Twitter. I write a ton on Medium. There's my website. I also publish a twice a month newsletter called Go Tech Yourself, the same name as this channel, and have a couple books on Amazon. So check those links in the description and please subscribe. Please share with your friends. Really trying to get this YouTube channel off the ground and really appreciate all of it. Thank you. So let's jump right in. So one of the questions I get when I actually talk about brand for product managers is, why does that even matter? It kind of sounds silly. Brands are for products or for companies. Why do I need to worry about my personal brand? Why is that something I actually need to invest time and effort in cultivating and growing? Well, I love this quote. So it's from Jeff Bezos, and he says, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room." I think he's talking about Amazon here, and what people think about Amazon. When he's not in the room, maybe. But it's your personal brand too. It's how people reflect on you, how they look forward to working with you or anticipate working with you. It's everything they say again when you're not there. It's the honest truth. And so, brand matters. So as I've looked at product managers I've worked with, people in just the technology space that I've worked with, the ones who tend to level up, grow faster, the ones who are respected more are also tend to be the people who have invested in their brand, right? It means they've invested in their reputation, right? They care what other people think about them. They care how they're perceived by the teams they work with, the companies they work with. So it's really highly correlated with those people who succeed, the people who level up every year or two, the people who are young and leading companies. Their brands, there are some exceptions, of course, but their brand is usually pretty strong. Also, another thing we'll talk about is just, what do people find about you when they're looking for you? When they want to learn about Alex Mitchell, what do they find on Google? What do they find in other places they're likely to do some research? And then just the other reason brands matter is because it's it's a strong signal that you care, that you're putting effort into yourself, that you're putting effort into getting better. And it really just takes a lot of time and a lot of consistent effort to build that brand. It's not something you build overnight. So let's talk about the ways you can deliberately invest in your product manager brand and you can grow it over time. So first, and this is one I started maybe almost 5 years ago at this point, is starting to write, starting to contribute to blogs out there. The reason this is important is because first, it actually helps your understanding. It's kind of counterintuitive, but by putting your thoughts down on paper, refining them, editing them, it actually makes you, rationalize more, think through things more. So you become better, number one. Two, it just puts your name out there and associates you with well thought out content. So it puts your name right next to that content. It shows that you're a thinker. It shows that you care about improving. It shows that you also care about getting feedback from others, because you're going to get feedback with anything you put out there. So just some quick how-tos. One of the easiest ways that I found is to find the marketing person at your company. Usually they're very happy to have someone else contribute to the blog, write something they're interested about, even if it's technical or a little bit different than what the company typically writes about. That's how I got my start when I worked back for Vistaprint Digital, was writing for the webs and PageMoto blogs out there. Another thing you can do is you can engage someone like me. So find someone out there who has an existing Medium blog and audience that you enjoy their content, and see if you can contribute to one of their posts. Reach out to them on Twitter, reach out to them wherever, and suggest an idea, suggest a way you can enhance some of what they're writing. And then you can also just start your own blog. Again, don't expect any of this to happen overnight, but find those topics you care to write about and just start writing. Give yourself a goal once per month, once every couple weeks. They don't have to be huge, long writings, but write about something that matters and just start being consistent with it. Another one that you can do is you can answer questions on Quora. So if you aren't familiar with Quora, question and answer site. It's really the most popular one out there these days. And it's one where people go to find a lot of answers about tech topics. And you might think, even if you're early into product, or you maybe aren't even a product manager yet and you want to grow to be one, that you don't have much to share. But honestly, you do. Everyone has something that they can share their expertise on, their learning on, their experience on. And Quora is a really accessible place to just go find those topics you're interested in, and really just writing sometimes short bullet point answers that are focused, that give that person some value. Really don't expect anything in return. Just start answering questions that you want to answer. And again, set a goal here. Maybe you answer 10 questions a month, 20 questions a month, and you'll start building the views of your answers. You'll start getting your name out there. Again, not going to happen overnight, but build something that's enjoyable. Build something that gets your name out there and starts to help you improve yourself as well. Write a book. So man, we jumped up from just answering quick Q&As to writing a whole book. So it seems like a really, really big step. But honestly, if you can find topics that you enjoy answering questions on, topics you enjoy writing on, a book is not too far away. I've written 2 at this point, and I've really found, tools out there like Kindle Direct Publishing. Really, this is everything you need from Amazon to be able to publish a book to Kindle. Everything you need to do from pricing to actually printing paperback copies to getting the right formatting. KDP can really help out a ton there. Of course, they take a cut of your profits because they're Amazon, but honestly, it's worth it. You don't have to store any of the books. You don't have to deal with any of the publishers. It's great for your first book or your second book. And you can pair that pretty nicely with Fiverr, which, if you aren't familiar with, is a place to engage contractors to help out with the design of your cover, with editing, with formatting. Really, you can publish your own book for less than a few $100. It's really just the time that you invest to make sure it's a quality piece of thought leadership, of writing. That's what you're going to spend most of your time on. But you should do it. If you can find those topics you're interested in, challenge yourself. Figure out what's something out there that's not available or not well explained or thought through, and start writing. It'll take a few months. It might take as long as a year, but you'll find that it's majorly worth it as you start to position yourself out there as more of a leader and a thinker. Another way you can start to build your product manager brand is to speak at meetups. So I know right now, as I'm speaking, we have kind of canceled all in-person meetings, but they will come back in the future. And now there are virtual meetups. So find these meetups that are interesting to you, whether that's a local one, whether that's a specific topic, whether that's a specific part of technology. Find what you care about. Again, you're kind of feeling that theme from me through this whole talk, is finding what you care about. Because if you don't care about it, you can fool yourself for a little while, but you're not going to stick with it. So it's important you find a meetup you care about, learn what that meetup's about, learn what types of speakers they bring, what seems to engage the audience, and then introduce yourself to the organizer of the meetup. Make sure they can put a face to the name. They understand who you are, what your goals are, where you work, all those types of things, and propose them a topic that you think's a fit for their meetup. It can be as simple as a 5-minute talk on something, 10-minute talk. It doesn't have to be a full hour or anything like that. Just propose a simple topic and speak at a meetup. You'll find that you help other people in your industry, in your profession. You're able to teach. And honestly, you are starting to position yourself as an expert and build connections because you're kind of speaking and sharing your mind in front of others. So kind of take these steps, start speaking at meetups. It'll pay off in many more ways than one here. And then the level up from the meetup is, once you've gotten comfortable with those meetups, you start to look at conferences then. And so you see in the picture here, conferences, people always think it's very overwhelming. I have to get in a crowd of hundreds of people. I have to be an Airbnb, I think in this case, product manager. That's not the case at all. So there's 75 product management conferences I've linked here. You can get them in the notes when you look at the slides. But find, smaller conferences. These conferences also have little workshop sessions. They have smaller talks. there are ways when you can still participate in conferences, but in ways that aren't as scary, that are more accessible. And so the way it usually goes with these conferences is similar to the meetup, but at a little bit bigger scale. You pitch a talk that you want to give. So all of them have forums on their website for speaker calls. You basically pitch your topic. You might do a call or two with them, and then really, if that works out, you're on the list. You show up on the conference website. They'll record your sessions. They'll syndicate it on their blog. Really, they do a lot of the marketing for you. You just need to put together the compelling talk on something and pitch yourself. And honestly, I did a talk a few years ago at a conference, and it still keeps paying off for me. I look back, and the video on YouTube has, I think it's over 10,000 views now. I still get traffic from it to my website. I mean, it's pretty incredible that, a few years ago, and it's still kind of kicking around there on the internet. So definitely look into speaking at conferences. It makes a massive impact. Another more accessible one is engaging with Product School. So Product School has been around for 4+ years now, helping product managers both break into the career, but also level up. And I've worked with Product School a few times now. I've done Ask Me Anythings with them, blog posts, in-person talks, remote talks, webinars. They're really flexible in the way that they engage with product managers. And they're always looking for people at different companies to speak, to share things with their students, to build connections with really what's the next generation of product management and product managers. So check out Product School. Click on a few of these links here. They make it really easy to express your interest in helping in this way. And really, it's just a great way to build your product network in addition to building your own brand. So I really love what Product School is doing, and they're very, very flexible with the way and the amount of time you spend working with them. So check out Product School. Another big way you can build your brand is really one-on-one mentoring. It might sound silly because a lot of these other ones are, speaking in front of hundreds of people, writing a book. But honestly, volunteering as a mentor, either at your company or on one of these websites, Growth Mentor or Mentor Cruise, gives you the ability to work with, again, the next generation of product people. It lets you refine your way of thinking. So it might give you more ideas for what to write about, more content for that book you're writing. And it even gives you ideas for the challenges you're working on. So it lets you take those problems that you're having at work and share them with someone else. And albeit they may be more junior, maybe younger because you're mentoring them, but I found many times that that information and those ideas are great that come back from the person you're mentoring. So volunteering as a mentor, you can do this with a few people. It'll start building those connections, and again, over a period of time, it'll start to build your product manager brand. And then on the topic of mentoring too, kind of going in the other direction, kind of meeting leaders in product and tech for coffees. So I do this a lot. I've written posts about this. There's one actually linked here in the slide if you want to check out the notes. But I looked back at my calendar and I did something like 150 coffees over a couple years. And these are just 30-minute meetings that I booked with interesting people in technology in Washington, D.C., the city that I live in. And really what I found about these that's incredible is almost everyone in tech is willing to devote 30 minutes in a morning or an afternoon to a coffee. They want to give back. They want to do that mentorship. And so it's on you when you schedule these coffees with them, bring interesting questions, learn from them, be genuinely curious. And then at the end of the meeting, ask them something like, would you feel comfortable connecting me to someone else that would be an interesting coffee for me? You can kind of build this chain of connections. Also make sure you're offering them something, offer, if they need help recruiting or finding a product person or finding an engineer or solving through a problem, spend time trying to help them out and, don't expect anything in return right away by any means. But honestly, over time, as you do this for years, as I have, you'll see all these connections start to connect into this really strong chain that you've built, and your brand starts to get out there into the community. So, really, it's worth this 30 minutes or 60 minutes or however long it takes to commute to where they are to grab a coffee and really make it easy for them. But this will pay off for your brand, for your development, almost more than maybe anything else on a per time basis that I've found. Those are the tips that I have. But one thing before we wrap today that I wanted to talk about is a worry that I hear sometimes when I talk about building your product manager brand. I hear, I'm worried about looking promotional. I'm uncomfortable, excessively self-promoting. I really, am uncomfortable just trying to, pitch myself out there all the time. And, honestly, this is because kind of this brand building just doesn't come naturally to most people. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them feel like a salesperson, but selling themselves all the time. And I have seen cases of excessive self promotion where someone spends so much time on themselves, they don't actually develop their skills. They're really just always out there trying to look like more than they are. That's bad, but that is rare. You don't see that too much. And honestly, if you're even worried a little bit about over promotion, you're probably not likely to be the person who is going to be excessively self-promotional. So in short, the kind of the pitch here is, or the takeaway is, don't be too worried about this. Maybe keep it way in the back of your mind, check every so often, but it's not something most people need to be worried about. And I also want to leave you with one quote here. So we started with a quote, we'll end with a quote. And this is just about how reputations and how brands are really, really hard to build. As you heard from, as I went through these slides, that, it takes time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes consistent effort to build, but really, really easy to destroy. So Warren Buffett says it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. I really like that last part because it just, says kind of keep this in your head. Don't make short-term decisions that could potentially ruin your reputation. Invest consistently, invest over time. Reputations are really valuable things to have. Brands are really valuable things to have, and you want to have a good one. So thanks for listening to my talk today. Again, you can find more from me in these places. And please, again, subscribe, share this with your friends, family, coworkers if you found it valuable. I really appreciate it. Thanks.